This is episode 7 of Building in the Trenches podcast. And if you guys have no idea and you guys are very confused at why we missed, last week, well, it's because David over here was having a great time celebrating his fantastic birthday. David, tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I was at San Francisco before and then visited Cancun for a little family trip with my cousin's graduation. But now we're back, have quite a lot of updates to give you guys for the past 2 weeks. So let's dive right into it, Sam.
All right, fantastic stuff. We have been very, very busy over the last couple weeks. Stuff on my end, I think last you guys remember is, I was waiting on some B2B deals. Over the last couple weeks, in the trenches, you guys know, things change depending on the hour, depending on, where deals are coming from, where money's coming from. And overall, my apparel brand, Hire, this month is already at 2.6K MRR this month. Print Fits, just paying the bills, staying steady out there. And of course, we still have B2B stuff, in terms of printing going on. I actually saw some new machines that are going to increase the efficiency of our logistics of our warehouse, where we would be able to get more B2B clientele, and it would increase the MRR and, improve basically the finances that can then be poured into the main brand, which I think my main focus right now is going to be my apparel brand. Hire, which is compounding really nicely over the last 4 months and so. So overall, my two main focuses per the last 2 weeks is closing more B2B deals and then pouring all that money and all those resources into my apparel brand, Hire.
All right, so that's kind of Sam's recap for the past 2 weeks. A lot of exciting things in the pipeline, especially the B2B deals. As for my end, me and Ming kind of had a big, long session about, okay, if we actually want to close on a business and then acquire a business, what are actual tangible skill sets that both partners are bringing that are not adjacent but complementary? Meaning that if you're ever going in a business partnership, the other person must have skill sets that you cannot provide. For example, like Sam would be great at marketing. Like he would wonderfully be charged up if he had a technical person, then he would just run it up, right? By leveraging whether it be SEO, copywriting, etc., etc. But on our side, Ming's more on the technical side, so he's trying to become like a product manager within a nonprofit instead of joining like a tech company where there's a lot of bureaucracy and not a lot of kind of high leverage skills that he could kind of gain in a very short amount of time. And then on my side, where I'm kind of heading away towards the CPA/FP&A, which is financial planning and analysis, because then I'm gonna be able to learn the financial engineering skill sets then to actually on day one look at the financials of a boring service-based business and then figure out what I could do on day one to see, okay, these are the metrics that we could kind of operate or change based on, whether it be pricing power, whether it be marketing costs, et cetera, that I could kind of engineer in a way. So those are kind of two operations skills that we're bringing in. On the Ming side, it's the product manager role, being able to delegate operations, whereas on my end, it's more of like the finances, also with sales and marketing, that side coming from kind of WebMD. So it's kind of an exciting journey. Other things on like the work aspect, the 9-to-5 grind, as you guys know in the trenches, to pay the bills, that aspect, I'm kind of testing this new tool out. I told you that me and Sam, we're still kind of on the copywriting grind still, although it has been a little bit of a slump. I'm testing out this software called Superhuman. I don't know if you've heard of Superhuman.
Yeah, it's an email.
Yes, exactly. So it's an email AI, it does AI copies. So it saves you, it's kind of no-brainer offers. It saves you 4 hours of time for like a high super performer. And do you know what it does?
Yeah, so basically it's, I know one thing is that a lot of VCs actually use this.
Oh, really?
It's been around, I think, since 2015, and it used to be that one specific email that a lot of VCs used to use, and it was more like a flex that, hey, I'm paying a certain amount for this. But one quick thing, just in terms of AI, I actually saw the Google Workspace. If you do have that, I've been getting like AI generated emails as well. Have you seen that?
I have not received. Tell me more about this AI generated email.
Yeah, so again, every single time. So again, I do a lot of my customer service through Workspace account, and then while I'm responding, it's like, hey, generate a reply using AI.
Wow.
I'm just able to create the copy itself. Again, sometimes it's not the best,
right?
But the other times, it's like it's okay. But like again, I think all that is just kind of becoming a commodity
wild.
at this point.
That is wild.
But again, Superhuman, if your email is coming from Superhuman and you're, let's say, contacting VC,
Right.
there's just something about it. It's kind of like, like a degree.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I went to the same school as you.
Right,
Like
right.
blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like tell me a little bit more about how you've used it and like how it's improving your productivity.
Yeah. So essentially, we're trying to feed it like frequently asked questions. Like for the customer side, this is how it worked. You would feed it exactly everything that you know about your company.
Yeah.
Essentially, based on that, it could give like the users whatever replies that you get, as long as it could answer it from the FAQs. Then it saves you time essentially.
Yeah.
And then the time response is so timely where
Yeah.
it's not going to be like 2 hours or 3 hours. Maybe
Yeah.
it's like 15 minutes at most.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps out with increasing the connect rates and then increasing conversion rates.
Yeah, it's actually funny you mentioned that because I use this for my brand PrintFits.
Oh, yeah?
For customer service, I use the Shopify Inbox, which is basically a live chatbot specifically made by Shopify.
Wow, okay.
And it actually has AI. It literally does the same thing. So
Oh,
it basically grabs all the questions that people usually ask,
Gotcha.
tells you, hey, what you can create, and like creates these answers depending
wild.
on what I've answered in the past,
wild.
which is beautiful, and it's like a free tool. And another, Shopify right now, dude, Shopify is going insane right now. Like very, very bullish on Shopify right now. So they released this ChatGPT competitor specifically for Shopify. It's called Sidekick.
Okay.
And basically it has all the data from your store, all your customer data. And instead of
That is
asking
wild.
ChatGPT, you're asking Sidekick, and it can literally tell you how to grow your business, which is the most
Wow.
insane thing ever. And on the AI side of things, again, the chatbots have now AI,
Right.
and they've actually created this. Oh, you're gonna it's gonna blow your mind.
let's hear it.
And again, I saw this tweet from Shopify founder, and like
Is it only AIs only, right?
Yeah,
You have
so-
to use AI.
So basically, this guy was like, yeah, we're releasing this new feature. No one actually ever talked about it, but it's the most insane thing ever.
Okay.
So let's say if you're in e-commerce,
Yeah.
now you don't need to buy templates anymore. What you can do,
Are
you
you
can use a
serious?
free theme, go in that theme, and tell that theme what you want specifically built out.
Wow.
Shopify developers are done. They're done
wild.
because like their job just got taken away by AI.
I remember telling you, I sent. Wait, I literally sent you. Let me think. Sam, I sent you a couple weeks ago a Shrine template that costed I think around $200 to $300 because it was considered the most A/B tested copy, with like best sections ever. That's gone.
It's gone. It's gone. And like, dude, the new themes that these guys have released, so beautiful.
Really?
They look so premium. And the crazy part, you can literally tell it to create anything in there. I haven't gone and fully tested like crazy amounts of customizations.
It's
but
literally versatile for
it's versatile.
Shopify.
Yeah.
That is wild.
It's insane, and like, I think it's insane how like not more people are not really talking about it.
Yeah.
Just because this needs to be a bigger news. Like, it's very bullish on Shopify because they just created Vercel or Cursor specifically for e-commerce.
That reminds me of, how people were unbundling Craigslist?
Yeah.
They're unbundling Shopify apps and then making that a part of their user experience already.
Yeah.
Of back into Shopify.
Uh-huh.
Because there's so many apps. I remember I had to pay like $1,000 for SEO
Yeah.
from a Shopify app.
Yeah.
So they were guaranteeing it was just one person who was running it, and they would make your H2 titles, H3 titles,
Yeah.
all of those optimized, right?
Yeah.
For Google. Imagine if Shopify just builds that within the template in itself.
Yeah.
It's only just a matter of I feel like a couple of days, couple of weeks probably.
So it's funny, you can actually tell Sidekick to become an AI agent and make these changes for you.
that is wild. that is mind blowing. That is mind blowing.
And like, it's just, I think it's insane how no one's talking about it because it's like, it's happening right in front of our eyes.
Wow.
And like, everyone is talking about these AI agents. Oh, like, you
So
can do
costs
this.
are getting lower and lower. The barrier to entry is getting lower and lower. So we're gonna be seeing so much more growth, more productivity growth.
Yeah.
Probably better user experiences at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And more margins for business owners and probably
Yeah.
also Shopify as well.
And again, teams are getting leaner and leaner. You don't need another Shopify developer now.
There's so many teams right now. I've seen even I think there was a new YC25 company that got to 100 MRR in less than 12 months.
Yeah.
It was not like Cursor. It was something else, something related with AI.
Yeah.
AI powered workflow, whether it be CRM, whatever it may be. I was just I'm so amazed. And this team is like 5 people or so.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I know. Well, the thing here is that now, you don't need teams anymore just because you can have agents, do your work for you. And that's why it's way more important for you to, understand the financials and understand marketing. Those are the two
That's
main
so
things
true.
that are needed. Like being a technical founder is dead.
Do you remember reading? I remember when AI was first coming out, and there was such a huge fight, pushback.
Yeah.
Because what does this mean for knowledge workers, right? And I remember there was a report from ChatGPT or the OpenAI researchers, along with Google researchers, I believe, that was talking about the most automatable jobs utilizing AI. Do you remember seeing that?
Yeah.
I remember there was accountants up in there. There was there's a lot of just automatable kind of jobs that people do these days.
Yeah.
That are gonna be pretty much automated, but a lot of jobs that's not going to be automated is the boring services, the actual labor intensive ones, or the one that requires human input of strategy or consulting.
Yeah.
Those things that it's still going to be around.
So it's funny you say that because I actually just got a Tesla and I got a full self-driving one, and right now it's still in beta testing where I still have to sit down and look at the street, but it has enough capabilities to drive itself, go park itself, and overall. One thing that I saw, one data that I saw from Waymo is that Waymo is growing way faster than Uber, and it was at a rate to growing at a rate to beat Uber, or it was some sort of fact like that.
And the fact that Google owns it is so mind blowing.
Yeah, and it's insane because that means all these Uber drivers. Where are these jobs going?
That's so true.
And we're talking these guys are not very skilled. They can't really do anything else.
Yeah.
So unemployment rate has got to be going up.
Well, just think about truck drivers. I heard that in the male population in U.S., a big percentage of job employment is actually truck driving.
Yeah.
Because think about all your Amazon packages. Think about all of your grocery. It's all logistics.
Yeah.
And someone's driving it, but at the point we just, actually, I think Nikola Tesla, there was some type of company that was trying to do automatable trucks. It turned out to be a scam eventually.
Yeah.
But once that piece is done, all of those people need to find new jobs.
Yeah. And again, that kind of takes me to the next thing that, realistically speaking, at this rate, if we keep advancing AI this fast, do not believe that we're going to have universal basic income in the next 10 years.
We have to.
Unemployment rate is just going to go crazy.
Yeah.
There's going to be some sort of currency and economic debasement in the next 10 years. Because this, I don't understand how you keep going. And the normal people just don't understand or see it.
Yeah.
They're just scared of it. They're not really embracing it. So us as trenchers, that makes us think, because we're smarter than the normal crowd that's out there. What are we going to do to have more leverage where we can beat the universal basic income and still be at the top 1% of this world? And again, I think at the end of the day, it's just about attention. I think if you have a brand, or you have some sort of loyalty towards a specific type of crowd of people who's willing to pay you, I think that is something that is it's human nature. They're not gonna, no matter how much, things get automated by AI, they still want that, homey feel, and they're still gonna be, they're not gonna all go towards, let's say a Walmart or something,
Right.
something huge. So again, just having that customer data is probably gonna be the most important and the largest bet
sure.
that you can do.
Yeah.
And I do see you going towards the right direction,
Right.
just in terms of that, because what you're gonna do with acquisition, you have 20 years of data.
Exactly.
It does not matter. It doesn't you work on that for the next 10 years and it doesn't work. One day that data is gonna be worth so much that it's gonna be
And
insane.
you have to think long term. Another a data point for the trenchers, it's you need to think long term, especially these days as times are changing really fast. Self-education, I think, is very, very important, because think about it, if you're just very complacent with the job that you have, and then you don't recognize that it's very automatable, or that you're being overpaid by the current economy for the value that you provide, then without that self-awareness, you're just gonna be wiped, and you're just gonna be oh my gosh, I'm gonna blame society for how wrong it is.
Yeah.
No, you actually need to be kind of educated and reinvent yourself multiple times. It's not the life is gonna get easier and easier. It's just you adapt yourself and get harder and harder, and I think that's just how things are going to be.
Yeah, and again, I think the times are changing. It's funny, again, for the last year or two or so, I've been I've doubled down on SEO, and I've been very, very bullish. And over the last 2 weeks, I saw what Google was doing with AI overviews. and it just all just clicked into my head, and I was just like, oh my god, are they really just killing search on Google? And they're gonna, it's gonna be a pay to play model.
I mean, even now, like, tell me about your experience. But for me, I use ChatGPT more than Google searches, mainly because it's a direct query of, like, for example, I may ask like, hey, what's like the best, like restaurants, let's say, like within my local area or my zip code, or like, what's the best, like, just any like specific questions that I may have search queries, it gives me the exact answer that I need. Yeah. The hallucination, it's getting better and better.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I recently was looking for some tennis shoes or some shoes. I actually have a torn meniscus on my right knee, and I was just like, I wrote that down in both Google and ChatGPT. And I went onto Google and I was like, dude, like I literally can tell the top 3 like articles are literally sponsored images. Like these guys probably haven't even done any research. Right. They're just putting number 1 as whoever's paying them the most. And like I do understand.
You see how the sausage is made, so you're like I'm not trusting any of these.
And then I would go into ChatGPT. We do the deep research. We're like, hey, what is something like what torn meniscus do you have? Like where are you putting more weight on? It does the deep research, takes all that information from, out in the universe, and it's like, hey, I think this is the brand that you would really like, and I think this would be good for you. And I was like, all right, I'm sold. Like that's what I need.
Yeah. And for now, it doesn't seem like it's too biased, right? Because like you're giving it like just actual, based on your exact inputs, like it gives you the output that it most likely wants you to hear.
Yeah, but the only problem here is that, when in a capitalistic society...
Right. once ChatGPT sees the advertisement money, it's going to be like, oh, by the way, this is like a sponsored listing or something, It's like an asterisk, like a very small asterisk. You have to zoom in to see. It's like, oh, shoot. GPT got me again.
It's kind of like TikTok Shop. Like when it started, it was like, oh my God, TikTok Shop is amazing. Like everyone's making so much money. And then at the end of the day, they were like, oh, they're subsidizing all these free shipping. Like how can they keep doing it? A year later, everyone got sucked in, and even the biggest brands were like, we need to get into TikTok Shop. Right after they got in, they literally pulled the plug and started taking percentages from every single like thing, and then algorithm changes over there as well. So again, everyone, like platforms themselves, especially the ones with super high valuations, can stay the course longer and try to sucker you in deeper and deeper and deeper until they monetize you. Just because the deeper they can suck you in.
True.
It's called network effects.
It's literally the same thing with Uber. Uber's playbook is exactly the same. They had so much venture money. If you look at their first, was it like 5 years? They're all just negative.
Yeah.
And I think it was only like this year or like earlier, like this past year, that they've gone profitable for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Without like using venture money. And that just shows you the power of like just giving so much value to the market, where that becomes in itself like a monopoly. Like that becomes like the only player, and then you start, making like search pricing and then like putting in these features where you could actually monetize the heck out of everyone.
And I think another thing is just SEOs just have not figured out how to game ChatGPT results just yet. I think it's just not, there's no specific SOP that you can utilize for that just yet. So that's why that's still clean. But I guarantee there's some smart people out there, especially affiliates. They will figure it out. There's some black hat affiliates out there, and these guys are always going to, figure out how they're going to game the system. And again, because ChatGPT is trained on some sort of data, they just have to tweak the data. So we just have to figure out, okay, where is the data coming from?
How can I prompt engineer this so that I could get the best input that I want to be included within it?
Yeah, and again, it's a tough problem just because we don't know where this data is going to be coming from, just because they just have they have the entire internet. Mm-hmm. So again, I don't know, interesting stuff, but I'm excited to see, how to game it. I'm going to figure out how to game it one of these days. And then you guys will see me.
Another thing I wanted to kind of add within like the Shopify kind of content, or like the segment, is there's a company I think I recently saw, I think it was actually from Sean Puri's like his little small newsletters, that there was a company that reroutes Chinese restaurants and like these Asian restaurants back to Philippines, and it makes $100 million per year. Yeah, that's all it does. It just reroutes them to a 24-hour call center within the Philippines. Imagine if AI could, SDRs. Yeah, you remember that's like being a huge thing. As it gets better and better, and the cost gets lower and lower, that's also going to be automated away.
I think things are just becoming commodities. Like realistically speaking, it's like, especially in like technical stuff, now that you're going to be able to one shot and one prompt everything, I think technical skills they're still important just because you can review the technicalities, but like they're becoming commodities.
Yeah.
And again, our generation, our parents were always like, hey, you have to become an engineer. You have to like go code if you want to like actually make it. I think that era is done because the last 10, 15 years, coding was the way that you became the next billionaire. I think the next way is just, having a great idea, because so many ideas in this world do kind of, like never end up happening just because of the, lack of technical knowledge from a lot of people. So if
And also taste as well.
Yeah.
Like think about like freaking. I'm thinking about Steve Jobs as you say that. Like his level of obsession towards the Macintosh was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I think for one like hue color, he had 20,000 different iterations that his employees had to go through to make
Jeez.
one color of hue. This guy was a maniac, but the level of customer obsession that he had of like, okay, not the Macintosh. It's very clunky, right?
Yeah.
But not only the outside had to be beautiful, the inside also had to be beautiful. So like he talks about it with like great taste, and that's what the magic like that people felt like when they were using like Apple, for example.
Yeah.
So I feel like taste is also going to be a very big thing.
Yeah.
Along with like the ideas and execution, but ideas and execution, I feel like execution is also a really high skill that you need.
Yeah.
But all of those kind of combined, it's going to be kind of what's going to be the next winners within all things that I see. Like for example, I'm thinking about like a personal brand that does clothing brand. It's called Tame Psychotic. It's by Marshall Cruz.
Yeah.
He's like a 23-year-old. He does personal brand beautifully because he's very young, very kind of handsome looking, buff, absolute Chad. Drives like a supercar, but like he all molds it into a kind of like a taxi driver. What's that movie called? Fight Club. Like he kind of like builds a persona of like Fight Club, and then builds that ICP that he's kind of like the Tyler Durden, and then like rest of them are kind of like the followers.
Yeah.
And his personal brand has fueled his clothing brand to like, fund everything essentially.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of taste, to be able to like create something like that.
I could never do that. I mean, I've been following the guy, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna start creating stuff like that. Number one, I don't look like that. All right. And number two, it's just I feel like it's just the crowd that he's a part of. I can never impress that. Maybe I'll be the king of the nerd crowd. That's probably the one crowd I can just go after.
Yeah.
Or maybe the dads. I feel like that's a huge market as well.
A huge market.
It's funny. I was at Costco today and I saw True Classic literally right in front of me, and I was like, oh my god, these guys have made it. And the crazy part, their box was literally a transformation of this bigger dad, and then transformation of him wearing a regular t-shirt, had a little belly out, he was just not looking the best.
The before and after?
Before and after.
Wow.
It was on the box, like right there, had a giant banner over there, and I was like, oh my god, these guys really made it. Like that's kind of the vision that, I see myself being, but it's just, it's also funny. I think I saw this tweet of someone saying they're like, hey, there's only two markets that, are pretty huge, but they're kind of sleeper markets. Number one is older dads.
Yeah.
And number two is Midwestern moms.
Oh, that's the one. That's the Midwestern moms especially.
Yeah.
Because they're always on Facebook. They're the best buying group, I heard.
Yeah. Because again, I mean, just think about it. Like if you live in the Midwest, you don't really, your rent is not that high. You're still getting paid, normal-ish wage. And I feel like, unfortunately, that area, not to bash on it or anything, but there's not really much to do except just, explore. Like you're going to hang out as like, you can either go to Walmart, Target, or you can just, go browse random websites online, because realistically speaking, I feel like you have to live in a city to actually enjoy life.
Right.
Otherwise, I mean, I've lived in a smaller town, and I understand. I mean, people just always try to like, go into random like things and try to like forget about, their present where there's nothing to do.
Right.
So,
going on the pigeonhole, like kind of you have to understand your ICP, and it seems like the Midwest kind of market, that could be definitely an interesting market that a lot of people do take advantage of.
Yeah. So I think overall, things are going towards the right direction just on my end. I think I'm very excited for your end as well. Like in terms of financial planning, you got to tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so essentially financial planning and analysis. Think about it like this. For example, let's say I'm a part of EA and we're launching a new game. Yeah. So a new game that would require kind of figuring out, okay, what's like the average cost that we could sell a new game, and then what are the costs kind of associated with that, and then essentially building out models to see whether it would be a good fit or not to even launch a model in the first, like to launch it in the first place. Those skill set, if you put it like in any HVAC, any plumbing, any like technicians to say like, oh, what if we like make a bundling service of like, okay, we could do HVAC, but the technicians like they're just as skilled in being able to offer plumbing, for example, within down seasons, let's say, or concrete, for example, because like in certain areas, like in California especially, I think concrete is quite common because of like there's a lot of fires around here. Yeah. Instead of like building in wood. So like in a couple seasons, like you might be doing like concrete with like the same technician. So I would be able to like model that out essentially. Yeah. And that's like usually kind of like the routes that we've seen within a lot of like acquisition entrepreneurs, like ETA people.
It's a very smart. I mean, I would probably do that as well. Right. I do just want to let you know what the route that you're taking. It's gonna be, you're gonna have to grind in there for at least the next 3 to 5 years. And again, it's not a bad thing. You just have to understand that, hey, this is just a tuition, because the thing is, you get yourself stuck in a large deal, it's going to be 5 years wasted regardless. Might as well be at a job, learn as much as possible, and then because once you're unbeatable once you understand the financials. So I think that's a great thing that you're doing. But also, again, the CPA, that exam is hard. I had an older roommate who was, taking it. And he hated it. It took him like 2 years to do it.
Oh yeah.
But
I know of a girl actually who, and another like UCLA alum, but she's cracked. Yeah. Like we cracked. Same like biz econ. I'm an econ major, but she was biz econ. She did it in 2 months. Wow.
Oh my god. What the heck?
Yeah. So it just depends on your like intelligence and like how badly you want it. I feel like. So. I mean, I kind of want it really badly because I feel like that in itself would be such a huge edge amongst like other competitors. And like, I'm thinking like same ideas like you, like thinking long term. What are some things where it could just compound? And if I have like one skill set over another person, that will give me like more leverage. And I feel like thinking in leverage is probably like the most important. Especially nowadays. I feel like, like just realistically speaking, if you're living in any city, we even like ran models of like what's our financial like. We're like, oh shit, we're never gonna make it. We're never gonna make it. So if like any hope of that, I feel like I have to think big, and it's just like a small price to pay within like 3-5 years. Sure, it sounds like a lot. But
it's not that long. It's like the years go by so fast. It's insane.
So I mean, every time you're like, oh my god, it's been 5 years since I've been to that last event, right? So I mean, just gonna be sticking in for the ride. Obviously, we're still gonna be giving updates on like. We're still going to be talking with these lenders, with these brokers, maintaining relationships. So if we do get a good deal, we can still potentially figure out seller financing if there's a good deal no matter what. But having that under my belt, I feel like will give me more operational skill sets and like even more kind of growth.
One quick thing, I would advise going to a smaller bank and basically banking with those guys.
Oh yeah, they give better rates because they're more hungry.
They're more hungry, and also I feel like they're more willing to like, let's say even the business is, not cash flowing as hard, they can go higher risk than a lot of these bigger banks, especially if they're like, oh, this guy's been around, he's like, working with us and stuff.
There is a small caveat to that. If you build a real good relationship, for sure that might work out. But usually I did get contacted through a couple of those, and they do give you a little bit higher interest rates. That's like the downside that you do pay, but obviously like, that's better than not having anything, right?
But again, if you do have, if you do have enough cash flow to pay the interest rate, I think that is still an interesting play, especially if the business is running by itself. Realistically speaking, I think you have been, since day one that I met you, you've been on this train, and which is a great train of that. Hey, people are retiring, boomers are giving money away. I got to figure out how I'm gonna go get it. And I do think this is like a way better route on your end than just the assisted living and just all of that, because it does kind of feel a little bit monopolish. And it is going to be a harder thing. And I think the problem that you were trying to solve in the assisted living space, it did seem like there were a lot of agencies, and some of these guys were already filled out. So lead gen wasn't the big issue.
Exactly. So the biggest issue with that, I feel like, is like if you're trying to break that in, it's a very high trust industry, and it's very legacy. I think I told you a place for mom, they're evaluated at over $1 billion. I think private equity just injected like 185 million. I think in 2024. The main reason is because they see the growth in boomers like retiring. And average prices is 5,000, and think about the LTV. It's like until they die. So it's like, minimum like 5 years. And getting paid, 5 times, 12, that's 60K on like on a month, like
Yeah.
on a yearly basis.
Think about the upsells. I mean, these guys, let's say if these guys get cancer, you can, have some sort of stuff that,
Yeah.
helps them, live a
that's-
better life.
That's so true. So everyone has an individualized care plan, and it ranges from $200 all the way to tens of thousands of
That's
dollars.
crazy.
So
That's crazy.
yeah, the nicest places that we've heard was like I think in the Santa Barbara area.
Yeah.
that's where like the celebrities and whatnot they kind of like retired their parents.
Yeah.
and apparently those it's $40K per month.
Jeez.
That just shows you that there's like levels to the levels of
Yeah.
how well you could live when you're a senior, and it's really really expensive. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like opened my eye. But yeah, senior living is still a good space as long as like you're a hard go getter of like being able to like. Even if like hospitals reject you, just trying to break into that legacy. But to be honest, I feel like that like I've tried a little bit of it,
Yeah.
and I felt like it didn't really give me too much leverage within like the local area. From
Yeah.
what I've already done with touring 10 different facilities, talking with countless of nurses, because there's a lot of variables that's not within your control. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
And I mean, realistically speaking, that's kind of the game of the entrepreneurship, specifically you trenchers right now. Again, I feel like the name of the game is not how you're going to win. It's about how long you can stay in the game.
Yeah, how long can you survive and stay sane?
Yeah.
Stay sane.
Yeah, if you can stay sane forever, like honestly, at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is not a game of winning. It is just a game of surviving. Because again, as long as you can survive long enough in any game, you can win. And again, it's just make sure you stay sane and make sure you just keep hitting the bag. It's again the gambler's mentality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to keep gambling until you make it, and that's kind of what life is.
That's so perfect because like that's my home screen.
Yeah.
It's if you guys don't know, this is literally my home screen. It's like it says this is pointless like in the beginning, and this is where I'm at. Just reminding myself that I have to continue hitting until it starts compounding.
And it just compound. The thing is, it's like you would feel like, oh, I'm not making any progress. I'm not making any progress for years and years. Even Naval says, hey, like you gotta struggle for 10 years. Like, can you struggle for 10 years? No one is like, you tell like a 20-year-old, hey, by the time you're 30, you're still gonna be struggling.
Yeah.
Like you think that
people are gonna say no. Like I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, I'm just
they're gonna be like,
gonna
you're crazy.
Yeah. They're gonna be enjoying themselves, following hedonism. Just be okay with like whatever lifestyle that they're currently living in, and just adjust for like the base, But I feel like everyone does have like the greatness, like the potential for greatness, but everyone just like accepts that they're I'm like normal,
They accept mediocrity,
which is very sad.
Yeah,
very very sad.
And again, honestly, as I'm getting older, there's one thing that I've been feeling. I don't know what's been happening.
Sure.
I just kind of feel like I am, getting slower. I used to like, again, I used to have so much hustle. I used to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. And like, as I've gotten older, it's just like, I just kind of feel like I can't, like, it's gonna be very hard, for me. If I have to go back and restart from zero, it's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just because, I'm at this
Our
age.
ears are a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
To say the least.
And it's funny. I always heard like people who are like in their 30s talk about. They're like, oh yeah, like if I was your age, I would be doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell? Like you're still young.
Yeah.
And now getting up there, and then I'm like, oh my god, yeah. Like you know what?
Sage wisdom right there. I just didn't recognize it.
It kind of makes sense. Like I can't really go around an agency now. I don't want to. It's just like I don't have it in me because it takes too much energy out. It's just not really worth it for me.
Yeah,
So,
I feel like some people, especially like when I see like cracked people, I continuously see like, for example, like college admission rates as like an indicator. I saw that it was like even more competitive. Like each year it gets like more and more intense. Like people are doing like nonprofits while they're in high school, just like building out like 9-figure like agencies and companies while they're in like high school. I'm like, I cannot compete with some of these people.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like it's just how much agency that you have, and then also your environment is probably like the biggest, because I feel like the more ambitious like you surround yourself, and then also the standard that you live up to, those two are probably like really really important. And
I think when we were a little bit younger, we're just a little bit older as well. We're not in our early 20s anymore. So when we were a little bit younger, I think technology wasn't moving as fast as it is moving now, especially in the age of AI and what you've seen. I mean, the way that I used to consume stuff was like long form. I never had short form.
Right.
And now like people are just way too fast in terms of that. And then I think majority of people get their brains fired, like fried up. And then there's some people who actually absorb all the stuff or fast enough, and they're learning at a very rapid rate just because the information's kind of just everywhere.
That like perfectly summarizes also like the income like inequality. It's supposed to kind of grow over time.
Yeah.
Mainly because the people who know how to compound is going to be compounding at a faster and faster rate as
Yeah.
the time grows. Same thing with learning. If
Yeah.
you're able to compound knowledge at an early rate,
Yeah.
it's going to compound. For example, like I remember like Michelangelo when like he was he the guy who did the Sistine
Yeah,
Chapel
yeah,
like
yeah.
on the back of like he started drawing at a very young age.
Yeah.
Like everyone called him like obviously he is a prodigy because like he did have like insane art skills.
Yeah.
But like the fact that he had so much time ahead just like allowed him to compound. Where
Yeah.
like to everyone else, it's like I can't compete with that person.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. I mean, the modern day, like a great example is just Mr. Beast. Like the guy had been. I mean, he started
What
at
was it, 15, 13?
Yeah, 13 years
That's
old. He
wild.
started at 13. He's my age. He's been doing this for like 15 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, how can like someone say like, "Hey, this guy's been doing it for 15 years. How can he lose?" It was just a time.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's just a time in the market. I mean, Warren Buffett is right. It's not about timing the market. It's just it's the time in the market because
That's
as
it.
long as you can survive, you will be okay. But the problem is that a lot of people give up. A lot of people accept mediocrity.
But it's
and-
also, and adding to that, I feel like it's also taking like simple things very seriously. Like I think one of the things Mr. Beast like truly has like transformed the landscape
Yeah.
is that he made like YouTubers into like a real career, into like something way bigger. Like for example, like maybe in like 2014, 2016, like
Yeah.
being a YouTuber, it wasn't like synonymous with celebrity. It was still kind of like a very like
Yeah.
its own thing.
It was a niche thing.
Right, but
Yeah.
like he bridged it where like influencers were trying to pitch him on like,
Yeah.
hey, can I like be in your video, or like like I think it was like the Egyptian, like there was like an Egypt video recent, like a pyramid where he got access to like the pyramids that not
Yeah.
everyone got access to. Like those type of access, or like even partnering up with what's it called, Amazon, like
Yeah.
getting a deal from Amazon, like where like now he's like as big as celebrities.
Yeah.
I feel like that by taking YouTube, a platform where it's like a video sharing platform, and being super serious about it because he recognized that's where the attention's going.
Yeah.
That's the economy. That attention economy is where people are going to be trading commerce. I feel like he found that very early, and then by optimizing on that,
Yeah.
he became truly just on a legal on its own.
Yeah.
By spotting that.
And again, it's just, compound interest is, eighth wonder of the
wonder.
world. So you just have to make sure you just keep compounding. And overall, I mean, we've had pretty successful last couple weeks. I think your directionality change, I think that's been a great change. I'm very excited to see the progression in terms
you're
of
gonna
that.
see it truly in the trenches. I'll be showing you like, oh Sam, this week was hard. Like it's just a hard week of studying. But you'll be hearing reports. I'll still be up in the market news, so you guys will be hearing a lot from me, and then a lot more personal documentation on my side as well.
Nice.
Of like going through that journey.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, stuff on my end. You guys will be hearing about, my B2B deals. I'm, my co-founder is actually looking at some new machines. So we're going to be investing into new machinery and doubling down on the B2B side of things. And just trying to scale that because I think that seems to be the easiest way for us to increase that MRR while we're waiting for, the compound interest in the apparel brand to, just take us to the moon. And overall, very, very excited. I mean, great times. 2 weeks was too long with you guys, Trenchers. So overall, I mean, we're having a great time. David, did you have a good time?
yeah, it was a great time to catch up with y'all, and we'll see you in the next one.
Let's go, baby.
Peace.